you are gonna see some cool ass shit.
Yeah, you don't want 2 Flavor Flays.
Heart transplants, brain surgeries. I've seen it all.
Dude, that's fucking dope.
Walk up and just get it, whatever it is.
Yeah, brother.
I'm trying not to laugh, bro, but Josh is fucking killing me.
Well, guess what Navy SEALs do, motherfucker? They communicate and they're on the same fucking page.
Whoa.
2, 1. We're live.
Welcome, everybody. It's the Happy Hoodlums podcast. You should already know your host, but if you don't, it's the Meat Castle himself, Mr. Zachary Sampson. Dude, I wish we could make like an emoji so you just explode like a volcano, like your nugget. But yeah, I'm Pepper Woodruff, as you should probably know by now. And welcome in. We're having a very special episode tonight of just me and Zach rekindling this motherfucking podcast after he's moved. So that's why he's got a fresh new location. As you can kind of see, the Happy Hoodlums mat has now hit the floor. Gotta love it. Shout out to Shanalana Ding Dong for the most heartfelt gift of 2023.
Damn straight.
And what have you been up to, Zachary?
Honestly, bro, like, basically, I just moved back to my parents for a short time, right? And, fucking sleeping on the floor. Not really, but like my mattress is on the floor. I didn't feel like putting my bed frame back together. I'm like, that fucking 400-pound bed frame can stay in the garage until I move one more time, hopefully in a couple months. So I've just been doing that, locking in a little bit more, not necessarily locking in more on my diet, but just like staying locked in on it. And I had to readjust all of my workout program a little bit because I've been working out from home because I'm not able to get to the gym, just so far away, and I don't drive. So it's like having to do all that, but luckily pretty much have everything that I need to be able to get in a good fucking workout. So it's not too different in terms of the workouts. I just have to change. I can't use machines anymore. So like my leg days are a little bit suffering, but other than that, I'm fucking killing it. And
Bro, you gotta do them duck walks, son. Them duck walks hurt.
I don't know what those are, but
It's some boxing shit. They make you do duck walks, like
really?
up and around the ring. Oh my
Okay.
God, it hurts so bad. It's to get your knees like used to bobbing and weaving and moving your hips and just like sitting yourself down. Dude, it's crazy. And if you take like a plate and you hold it over your head while you do a duck walk, bro, it is a killer workout.
Yeah, see, I'm not gonna do that. Only reason is because hopefully in 2 weeks I hit a new squat PR. I've been going fucking stupid hard on a fucking squat program, and luckily my knees are actually like pretty well recovered, but because the first few weeks, dude, I had to sleep with pillows underneath my knees, and I needed knee massages. Like I was having Shauna give me a fucking knee massage at night. I'm
I've
like,
never even heard of that.
dude, it felt so good. All she really needed to do was like squeeze my kneecap and like lift it a little bit. Just squeeze and lift a little bit. And oh my God, bro, it was the greatest feeling I've ever had, other than like maybe a handful of other things. Top 5 feeling.
What was the pain like behind your knee, or was it truly like
It's my
in
tendon.
your kneecap?
It's the knee tendons. They just weren't like ready for the amount of work that I was putting them through.
Oh, I know what it's like, bro. When the back of your legs feel like someone just fucking slit them, and you're just like, oh my God! Every time I walk, it hurts
Well,
so
mine
bad.
was like the front, so it's the front underneath the kneecap. So it's that I think it's the tendon that goes through the front. I think there's a tendon that goes through there, but it was that, and it still kind of gets me a little bit on like the harder days, because like for example, my leg day this week, Um, I so I had to start with a heavy set of three, and so I did 300 pounds. Right, did 300 for three. Honestly, probably could have grinded out six, but I'm sticking to the program. Uh, and then I had to do three more sets of four at 250. And then after that, I had to do 8 sets of 8 of front squats.
Oh, that's gnarly.
Yeah. Fucking
I love
ridiculous.
front squats. Front squats are actually my favorite variation of squats
I like front
because I've always
squats,
felt
like heel elevated front
the bar.
squats. Amazing.
Yeah, heel elevated I've never tried, but the bar rests so like perfectly on my shoulders
Yeah.
that that was my favorite. Like when I was in high school, I was way more confident with that than back squat.
Yeah.
I Speaking of numbers though, I finally got 225 on my squat with the barbell, and I hit
Oh
it for like
shit.
5 reps. So I could do more than that, but it was the first time that I took like a significant step into like the 200 region, which is huge for me because I was
Fuck
always
yeah,
baby
dude.
step, baby step, baby step.
Well, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, like fucking 5 pounds every week adds up. So if you keep doing that, you know, you're gonna fucking kill it. And
yeah.
squats is
But
like, in terms of like, if you want to live a really good life, having squat strength. Like, if I was told I couldn't have, um, I had to pick between deadlift, bench press, overhead press, and squat for the rest of my life, I could have other machines, but I could only do, out of the big four lifts, one of them it'd be squats, because they're, one, like, a hard set of squats is harder than any set of bench or deadlift or overhead press that you'll ever have. And it's absolutely fucking, also, I've never thrown up after deadlifting or bench pressing or overhead pressing. I've only ever thrown up during leg days.
I've never thrown up from it, but I would squat until my nose bled, like for months. Like,
Yeah, that's not good. That was probably definitely like overtraining.
but bro, it fucking got me strong. Like it rehabbed me, bro.
Yeah,
Like
but do you
I don't
think
care,
that
bro.
you could have
There's
rehabbed
something
faster
to it.
without pushing yourself like that?
Nah, bro. It was what I needed. And it was funny.
Okay.
I was watching an interview with Jay Cutler, and he was talking about when he would go to Gold's Gym. He
Mhm.
was like, it was the most horrendous place because we would squat until our noses bled. And I was like, that's what it is. He was like, yeah, we would just fucking and spit it on the wall. And I was like, that's gnarly. You
Yeah,
guys just had
no,
a
I'm
blood
good.
wall and Gold's Gym.
God, that's disgusting. That is so
Hey,
gross.
side note, yeah, it was. I was like, what the
I
fuck?
would have
But I
never,
was like,
if dude, if I was around at that time and I learned about that, I'm like, I'm never going there. Like,
dude, I knew I was. When I heard that in the podcast, I was like, oh.
no, Kemper,
But
listen. Hold on. We
dude,
need
Jay Cutler's like
we need
one of my
to
like up there.
we need to separate a couple things here. First, you have the top 1% of bodybuilders who need to go that hard to make changes in their body. Then you have someone who's rehabbing their body to try and get to a point where they can work out efficiently. That is not
Bro.
a good way to train for 99.9% of human beings
Yeah,
in
I'm
the
not gonna
gym.
say that everyone should do that shit. Like you got to be crazy, but it was perfect for me
It
because I
also
am
should
that
only
kind
be
of.
like 5% of your training.
I was like fucking when I heard that today, I damn near got a boner. I was like, I'm on it, bro. What? I did that all OG, all natural, bro. Cause I used to fucking get all lightheaded and shit. Like definitely the point where most other people would stop. But I was like, I just breathed and I got another second wind and I would just get in there, bro.
Yeah.
But it was what I needed. And in 3 months of me going ham like that, you know, it's done wonders. That was the beginning of my trajectory, before I got into the Wes Watson program, and that fucking took me to a whole nother level. Side note, are you on Quentin's program
Yeah, I'm on
right
his
now?
squat program. I'm only running his squat program. So like the other 3 days of my program are all me. But yeah, I'm on that, and I'm hoping to hit somewhat close to 350, if not 350 by the end of it.
That's sick. Dude,
Yeah.
he's got retard strength. I,
Dude,
I watch him go
he's got blind
ape shit.
strength. He's fucking
That's what
strong.
it is.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
1000% blind strength.
Yeah.
I'm hoping, what the hell was that? I'm hoping that you'll wind up, giving him a run for his money one day. But that dude he's
Dude,
incredible.
he was a freak of nature when I met him when he was 16.
Yeah, you've mentioned it on the
Dude,
podcast before, but for those that don't know, blind barbell,
stupid.
he's incredible.
I was maybe like a year or two. Actually, I was probably like a year into working out. Maybe not even. Um, and I meet this kid at blind camp, and fucking, we go to the gym. He and I were the only ones that went and worked out, and because the people who organized the camp uh knew that, they put us in the conjoining rooms. So like we were in a college dorm, and so two people were in each dorm, but they were connected by a bathroom and a kitchen. He and I were the only ones that had our own dorm together, or like on our own, and our two rooms were connected to the kitchen. But they connected us, and we cooked chicken in there and shit. But anyways,
It was meant to be.
dude, this guy showed me what like legitimate pushing to failure actually means, because we were doing forced reps on leg press.
Oh snap!
We were actually we were going so hard we had to spot each other on a leg press.
Oh yeah, bro.
Dude,
Honestly,
stupid.
that's how it's fucking done. And the coolest part of this story to me, other than the fact that you call it blind camp, because that just sounds so fucking crazy, but
It's the best way to explain it.
But blind camp is just all right. Anyways,
There is an official name, but
yeah, I've always thought that like that is so awesome because I've seen like clips from Blood and Guts with like Dorian Yates where he's in there and they're helping each other with like the fucking leg presses and all the machines and really going to like true failure and basically like beyond it almost if there was such a thing.
There is such a thing.
Because it was just incredible. But I think that's honestly the way to go. But the cool part about that is that with you guys not knowing each other, because I think that's something you should generally only do with someone who truly knows your body and knows your limits, right?
Oh yeah.
The fact that you guys were doing that as like 16, what, he was 16, you were probably like 18?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
And at that same time, dude, he was repping 225 on bench at 16.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? What is this? Ridiculous. It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was one time, I think I might have told this on the episode that he was on, but there was one time we were doing barbell curls and he insisted that we face each other. And
yep.
he when I stopped, he went. And then he told me while we were going that he was counting my reps and doing one more every time. And I'm like, okay, all right, that's how we're doing it. Fine, I'm gonna count yours and do one more every time. Fuck you then. I was like, God damn, all right. But yeah, that was some of the hardest workouts I've had were with him. And yeah, it was ridiculous. But
the camaraderie of working out with somebody like that is so fun. Like, man, rest in peace to Paul. It's July. This is month, man. I remember when Paul got out of the pen and we would be like doing push-ups together and he would have me doing like triangles with him. So it'd be like we would go up to 10 and then back down to 10. And, we would switch variations, right?
Okay.
And so, bro, doing diamonds with him, like his chest was so built that when he got out of the pen, he came up to me like this, and he goes, "Hey, bro, try and touch my like elbows together, like push them together." Legitimately, you could not get his elbows to do this.
Yeah.
Like with two of us on both sides just pushing, like his arms would not touch. He just had so much fucking muscle in his chest. It was crazy.
I mean,
Yeah,
shit.
he
If all
had
you
these
had to
like,
do is push-ups all day, like,
well,
may
that's
as
not
well,
all he had to do, but like he was swole going in,
Yeah.
right? Like he at like 13, he was like basically where blind barbell was at 16. Like he was insane.
Yeah.
Like, and he would tell me these crazy stories. Like I remember he and this OG in prison, they had this thing where they would punch each other in the chest.
Oh
And it was
yeah,
like a
yeah, yeah.
game. Like who could out punch one another. And he was like, by the time we were done, like our whole chests were like black. And he was like, but it was crazy because he was so tall. This guy was so tall, and Paul was like 5'5", 5'6", maybe. And he would run up on him, and he would have to jump and like hit him in the chest. So he was like Superman punching this guy. And like he was like, yeah, when we got done, that was one of the things that helped me get some props for just how far we would take that, because neither one of us were gonna give.
That's
Can you
fucking
imagine
gnarly,
spending
dude.
a whole hour, like a whole hour back to back during the rec yard of just
Yeah, no, fuck that.
two giants just punching each other in the chest, bro?
Just boom, 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 boom. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I mean, I guess when you got fucking pretty much nothing else to do, you're gonna come up with some barbaric shit like that. Like that just seems like barbarian camp status. Like, all right, you do this, I do this. Boom. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fucking. It's gnarly. That's
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know.
Hey, man, and I don't know, man. To me, like prison stories are just so crazy.
Oh,
Like there's
100%.
nothing like that out here. It's just so foreign. And it's not a good thing, but it's just like they're some of the most incredible in horrific and also like terrible dehumanizing ways, but also like superhuman, like natural, well, I don't know how to say it. It's like it brings everyone to like square one, you know?
Yeah, everyone's
Like
kind
there
of
are,
even.
yeah, like
Yeah,
it, in a sense, like the camaraderie in these like rare moments and aspects is like there's nothing like it because it's survival, you know,
yeah,
in there. But it's also like fucked up.
yeah.
It's crazy to me that my dad worked in a prison for so many years.
It's crazy to me that my dad went to prison. Like,
Yeah.
so like we have the two like fucking differences here. So it's like, holy shit, it's bananas.
Yeah, like bro, I remember my dad telling me stories of like things that would happen like when people were like in riots, and like some of like the wounds that he like saved people from, like people getting stabbed in the eyes with like pencils and like
Yeah,
all kinds
I
of
remember you
crazy
telling
shit.
me about that one.
And like I saw a picture of it when I was little because it was like sitting in the back of his car. I remember he would pick me up after like work, and it was like they would train and they had like manuals for these kinds of things. And so he had been like studying, and he just had this like binder in the back of his car. And I remember like getting in the back of the truck and like looking over and just being like,
What
"Oh
the
my
fuck?
God."
Is this
Yeah, I
real?
was all drunk. No, like I legit almost threw up, bro. I was like, that is one of the grossest things I've ever seen in my life. But on a whole other side note, like whole other topic,
Yeah,
I feel like things are coming along swimmingly with my fitness and life coaching stuff.
yeah.
I got like 6 clients, which is awesome.
Fuck
All
yeah.
of which were like, yeah, I'm already like seeing the results. And it's helped me to learn about and like analyze my own experience in a different lens, because I'm seeing now like, oh, this person's falling off track in
Hmm.
this one aspect, like whether it's their diet or their exercise routine. And then I start talking to them, well, what's going on in your life? Oh man, well, maybe someone took a vacation. Now they have to reset. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, so you got the start and stop going. And that's the hardest thing is to restart and get yourself back on track, especially when you have like solid momentum and you're starting to see results. I'm like, oh, so you started to see a little bit of results and then, life happened and now you kind of leaned on that a little bit. So we got to get you back on the horse in that regard.
Yeah.
Compared to someone that's like, I'm so in the beginner phase that I don't know how to navigate certain aspects of like this workout. And remembering like not everyone understands like what their hamstring is, right?
Yeah.
Like what muscle group they're targeting. And it's like, oh, okay. I gotta go back down to this level and just simplify it. Okay, it's the back of your leg, right?
Yeah.
Just tell you that way. Feel it behind your thigh. Just things like that. It's interesting though.
Yeah, it's definitely like some people will get it on like one explanation, but then someone else you'll have to find a whole nother way of explaining it to make it make sense. And so
Yeah.
as you as you not only just like learn the information better, but try to reword it more and more and more and more, you'll understand it better and you'll be able to get people to understand it better and faster. Which is pretty fucking
100%. And
yeah.
I think what I'm realizing is like what's one step beyond that is truly getting that light bulb to switch on from them feeling it in the motion.
Yeah.
So I'm not just telling you, I'm not just modeling it in front of you so you can like see good form or whatever. But if I can truly get you to engage that like mind muscle connection and boom, you feel like, "Oh, whoa, that's what he was talking about."
Yeah.
Like that specific muscle right there and I'm like, "Yes." That
Yeah.
is I think the coolest part.
And dude, sometimes that comes down to just like a simple cue. Like a simple one to explain is like any type of row, right?
Mhm.
Um, a really good cue that a lot of people don't think about is like just pull back with your elbows, not your fucking hands, right? Pull your elbows
Yeah.
back and pay attention to your upper back essentially. Because you keep those tight, you keep your scaps tight, and you just pull back with your elbows, you have no choice but to use your lats. You're not gonna feel it
Mhm.
anywhere else. And so it's like just
Yeah.
simple, like, dude, even I was squatting one day and I have this problem where as I go up, right, my hips will shoot
Mhm.
first. So like fucking squat, my hips will go up first, and then my chest will
Mhm.
go up. So my
Yeah.
hips and my chest don't go up at the same time. And
Mhm.
part of the reason for that is because I let my hips come out from underneath me. And so simply just getting a cue from Nick at the gym of
Mhm.
think about pushing your knees forward, right?
Yeah.
I'd go into the next set and I didn't have that issue. I didn't have any hip shooting issue at all.
Is he talking about pushing your knees forward like your thighs forward or is he saying as you're squatting down bringing your knee over your toe?
As you're squatting up, push your knees forward. Like just think about it. Like um because essentially what's happening when my hips come up from out from under me, my knees are going backwards. That's the only way for your hips to go up, for your knees to go backwards. So if you push your knees forward or think about pushing your knees forward, your hips are going to stay
Yeah.
underneath you and you'll be able to go straight up a lot faster.
As you rise up. I see what you're saying
Yeah.
now.
So it was like
I
just
was
one
thinking about
simple cue.
like, your knee tap. I'm
Oh,
like, what the
no, no,
fuck?
no, no.
I was
um
like, bro, like, okay.
but
No,
no,
you're
like
good.
my point is as you're explaining workouts and stuff and exercises, you'll find those little tiny things that you can just tell people to like focus on or think about, and it'll make that mind muscle connection, what you're talking about, actually like come in a lot faster, and it'll be fucking
Yeah.
insane.
I worked with a dude. I want to say his name was Mark Hatfield.
Okay.
Downtown when I was like rehabbing my back, which is cool because I'm a direct descendant of the Hatfield family. So who knows? Maybe the dude was like my long lost cousin or some shit. But anyways, he had told me like when I was trying to figure out like my spinal alignment and learn like standing up and sitting down and moving again as I'm supposed to,
Yeah.
right? He was like, imagine that there's like a string that's in your head, pulling your head like up. And he was basically trying to get like my chest to come out over my knees while I'm squatting more because I was kind of like leaned backwards a little bit. And he
Yeah.
was like, bro, he was like, before you do anything, I just want you to do a step on the ground. So he'd have me step with one foot, step with another foot. And he was like, just natural. How do your feet land? Okay. And then take it up from your feet, you know. How's your hips? Do your hips feel level? Because my back goes like this at the
Yeah.
bottom because of the difference in my leg lengths. And then on top of that, I had the two discs that broke. And so it was just an interesting process because as he started to do that, I could kind of feel like my body engage in such a way that it was like, oh, whoa, I could actually feel this like micro adjustment in my back,
Yeah, bro.
which is way cool.
It's
It's helped
it's
me a lot.
the body is so fucking bananas, and everyone's is different, and it's like some people can have that super narrow squat stance and go down and have no problems, whereas some people have to go wide, and their bone structure makes them absolutely hate squatting because it's extremely difficult for them. And so it's
Yeah.
like people with long legs, specifically like long femurs, I think that's the top part, right? What's the
Hmm.
top part? The femur. If you have long
I think so.
femurs, you're gonna hate squatting because if you
Really?
go, yeah, bro, because you have to, in order to get low enough to squat, parallel with long femurs, you have to push your chest forward a lot, and so you have to like sink down into a squat. Like if you ever watch like, I guess again, if you ever watch Nick squat because he's got long ass femurs, uh,
Yeah.
he's like his chest is in between his knees almost.
He always looks like he's like in a sumo stance
He has to be
whenever
wide
I see him.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
he has to be wide, otherwise he can't. And so like you'll notice that people with long femurs hate squatting, and so like they'll tend towards machines or even tend towards like leg press.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Huh. You know what I would think of is like you ever see like the OG hack squat where they're like holding
yeah,
the like bar behind the back?
yeah.
I would
That shit's
almost just
hard,
do it
dude.
like yeah. But I mean, you might as well just if you're really looking to it's not going to help you as much as like a power lifter maybe, you know?
It's also
It'd be a hell of an exercise, but you can't do it with as much weight for
yeah,
sure.
and there's a steep learning curve to that one because
Yeah.
not necessarily a learning curve, but an ability curve. Because you're first now going like tiptoes. So now you got to balance
Hmm.
with weight behind you in your hands. And you feel so unstable. And then you got to lean forward. You got to knees forward. And it's so fucking hard. It's
But to
ridiculous.
me, I feel like that's that's one of the coolest aspects of like and why I love the silver era so much is my grandfather and like all those dudes like John Grimmick like he finished his posing routine doing double biceps in a split. Like he would drop down, jump off the podium down into the splits and hit you with the double buys. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Like that's incredible. Like my grandfather could do crazy like handstands and hold himself. And like you ever see that show with Rob Deerdeck where they're always like crashing? Ridiculousness.
Yeah.
Where they talk about like the scorpion when someone goes over their
Oh, yeah. That
handlebars.
shit's so fucking
My
hilarious.
grandpa could hold himself like that for like minutes, bro.
Yeah, see, that's impressive. But they had to do
Things like
shit
that.
like that in order to be able to like get a workout, right? Because they didn't really have
Yeah,
they
they
didn't
didn't
have a
have all the
whole lot of machines back then.
yeah,
Which is
100%.
fucking wild.
Yeah, dude, like it still blows my mind. I've told this story before, but my grandfather and his friends would have to sneak onto like construction sites to steal the rebar
Yeah,
and take concrete, mix it in coffee cans, and then make their like barbells that way. That to me is insane to even try and like comprehend.
yeah,
And
that's
the
fucking
fact that
wild.
they were looked at for like they were looked at and ridiculed as like idiots and like meatheads, and look at where we are now. The whole supplement industry, the whole like sports medicine and science, we have to thank the bodybuilders because they were like the OG fucking guinea pigs of like figuring this shit out, bro. That's honestly like super recent history in the grand scheme of like humanity, right? Like that is incredible to me.
I mean, they could even go further back than that, though. That's the crazy part, is because there's always been
Ancient
things like
civilization
that.
had some shit, bro.
Yeah, they had some shit going on. And dude, if you think gladiators were just some weak motherfuckers, there's no way. Like, people were making money off of them. They're like, if you look at like athletes now, like, yeah, okay, they're not being paid that like they're not they're not getting paid that much. But if you look at athletes now, that's essentially what they were. So they had to have physical training, like, and they were knowing how to put on a motherfucker's muscles for sure.
Hey, how long ago do you think it was that we had like alien supplements? Like Atlantis supplements, fucking Egyptian supplements. You know what I mean? Like there's no way the aliens like helped us so much over like the past civilizations and didn't drop us off some subs. You know what I mean? Like maybe the only thing that's left is like weed because marijuana is like a very interesting
Or
plant, bro.
mushrooms, because mushrooms can survive in space. But um,
Wait, hold on. What?
yeah, you didn't know that? Like, mushrooms can like survive in a vacuum, which means they can survive in space.
I did not know that.
Yeah, which makes them even more crazy.
That's fucking
Because if
cool,
you think
dude.
about that, what if mushrooms came because asteroids carried them here? And that's the only way mushrooms got on Earth. That's a crazy thought.
Man, this podcast took a weird left turn out of nowhere.
I don't even know what. Oh, I mean, I don't know
Those alien stuff is shit, though.
in terms of like supplements. I don't know, but there is a theory on the fact. There's a theory that aliens uh, edited our genes, which caused us to go into a really big evolutionary leap. Which is yeah. Anyways, but that one's a
I don't
crazy
know.
one. That could be the
Yeah,
supplement.
nerd out on alien stuff, dude.
You what?
I can nerd out on some alien stuff
Oh, dude,
for
me too.
sure.
I could get into it, but I don't know, dude. There's a lot of crazy things that like a lot of crazy supplements out there, and I think uh, I think it's good and bad at the same time because a lot of people will like I said, okay, this is only to make an example of like how dumb some fitness influencers are and how like
I was gonna say, go ahead, get on your soapbox.
how
Here it comes.
how ignorant they can be because and this is a valid thing because this dude
Yeah.
actually made the most stupid video I've ever seen. He was holding a Fairlife protein drink. Okay, he's
Mm-hmm.
in the store. It's one of those. He's in the store demonizing something, right? And he's like,
Okay.
"This protein drink says that it has 26 grams of protein. It actually has no protein at all because if you look at the ingredients, it doesn't say anywhere where the protein comes from. It doesn't say protein anywhere in the ingredients list. It's like they don't say where the protein is in this. It's like it's on the nutrition label, but not only if you looked at the ingredients and knew simply about food, is that you would know the milk that's in the Fairlife drink has the protein in it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is the most retarded thing I've ever fucking seen. And this guy is probably, I don't know who it is, but he's probably got a couple 100,000 followers that he's preaching to. And now fucking over brands like that because you don't simply understand your own food. It's bananas. And so I can't stand when people like promote certain products that don't have any like level of solid evidence behind it actually being good for you or effective in what it's saying that it is, because supplement companies don't have to back that up with anything. They're not required to do any level of testing they unless they claim that it helps with some type of medical condition, right?
Yeah.
So they don't have to get tested or even approved by the FDA. So
Hey, bro, I
you,
don't
you
trust the FDA. I don't give a fuck
yeah,
what
but there's
anyone
got to
has
be
to tell.
levels of testing, and so that's where I get concerned because, dude, legitimately, this is why that there are third party testers, is because people get fucking popped for steroids by taking just a normal protein powder, and that's because
Oh yeah,
the protein powder is fucking made in a vat that is also used to make steroids at a different point in time, and people are getting their
yeah. Oh
lives
yeah.
ruined for it. So
I'm, I'm not saying
look,
there aren't horrible supplements, bro.
dude,
Like
100%. There's terrible ones. So all I'm saying
there,
is do the
yeah.
research about what you're about to put in your body. Don't just listen to someone on a YouTube video or a TikTok or a reel. Go read about it. Go see if they've had third party testing. One of the most popular ones is NSF. If you look at that and it's on the container, you're pretty safe.
But another thing that goes back to thank you to bodybuilders, right? So many bodybuilders that have their own like supplement lines. Now,
Yeah.
some of them they were kind of just like handed them, but there's other like dudes like bro, for instance, Jay Cutler. He's super involved with his whole entire thing, his
Yeah.
whole process, all the supplements, and like to me, we have to thank these people, and say, oh my goodness, like, look what they've given. And I think that's one of the things I love about bodybuilders is like the community that they have, and like not only the respect for one another that exists within like the bodybuilding community on a large scale.
Yeah.
Really, it's like they're few and far between where it's like a true beef where like, no, I hate that guy. But you see what they contribute, and that outside of the sport they're still trying to like give back to the overall like evolution of this and
Yeah.
help make it better for everyone in it. And I think that is so fucking cool, and you don't see enough of that in like other industries. It's a very unique thing to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe it's just like, because it's like, what else do you do, right? As a bodybuilder, when you're so fucking massive, as like Jay Cutler, like, what else do you do other than open a gym, start a supplement company, and then some type of apparel company for like fitness related shit, right? What do you do? And it's like there's only a couple routes that some of those guys usually go, and it's pretty common to go towards supplements and then apparel or then opening a gym.
Well, I
And
think on a deeper
yeah,
level it's educating, right?
okay,
Like they're not only leaving a breadcrumb trail of things that like you can use to help you on that journey, but they go into like their science and their method and where it came from, right? I nerd out. I listen to tons of bodybuilding interviews. That's a huge part of where I've gathered my like knowledge base from. Is just cross-referencing all the trials and errors that these guys have documented in such finite detail. You know, is that the right
No.
word? Finite? It's
That's
specific.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
detail. Well,
I
I was like,
got
hold on,
I
bro.
was like, wait,
I was like,
finite
that
is like
sounded
very
right.
little, dude. Like
Yeah, bro, it sounded good though. Fuck, I had to catch myself. What the fuck?
fine-tuned
Anyways,
detail.
yeah, such fine detail. Like, um, you can talk to like, or watch an interview of like Dorian Yates, and he'll say, "Dude, I have all of my notebooks of everything that I ate each day, every workout I did for years, everything that was in my like steroids and anabolics, you know, like the different ratios, what I was using, how I tapered on and off of them." And so the way that these like gentlemen have really used their bodies as like guinea pigs and figuring out what works best for them, you know, it's something that we can learn from, and it's extremely high level. It's the highest level, really. And when we start looking at it and like applying it to our own lives, especially if you look at like someone's body type, like what I've started to realize is as I'm looking at um like different features on different bodybuilders and looking at people in the gym, like, oh shit, and then I like start paying attention, what does this person do? And then I'll look at like another guy who might have like incredible biceps or like triceps or something. Then I'll go study like what was their routine, and then I'll look at what this guy's doing and try and even just like from afar kind of figure it out. Of course, you're not going to know a lot of the other factors, like, you know, their genetics or, you know, their diet and how much they're sleeping, things like that. But still, you know, it's just interesting to me to see how like one person's body type can be affected very similarly to what some of these other guys were doing, especially when they talk about their diets. I think that's fascinating
Yeah.
because they always talk about their good habits and bad habits. Sorry, I know I'm talking a lot and rambling, but like, for instance, like I was listening to Kevin Levrone, who's one of my favorite all-time bodybuilders, just absolute specimen. And he was like, dude, I had such a crazy metabolism, like I had to eat a little bit of junk food.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, I just, in order for me to gain any mass, like I just had to eat a little bit of extra junk food. And it's just so interesting to me because I've been kind of like playing with my diet because I was really stuck in this spot where I'm like, okay, like I'll make some micro adjustments here and there. And one of the biggest things is like eating and just changing things up for myself and figuring out what my body responds best to is a game changer for me.
Yeah. An important thing to know about that type of shit though, with and this also goes for like weightlifting or kind of really anything, is you don't know if your body responds to it well if you don't give it time to respond to it. Because our bodies don't necessarily respond to certain things very well when they're not used to it. So, like for example, when I went onto my squat program, right, my
Yeah.
knees were killing me, and now I'm going and working a full day with my dad, running up and down ladders and shit, and then coming home and doing my squats. My knees have gotten better, and it's been 6 weeks, right? So it took 6 weeks for
Mm-hmm.
my knees to make that adaptation. And if I would have stopped 3 weeks in and been like, it's just my knees don't like it, I'll never do it again, type shit, then I would have never realized that I can push myself to that level. So it's like you have to push through a level of discomfort in order to know that your body actually does or does not respond well to it. And so it's the same way
Yeah.
as like I'm starting to do like a muscle specific training, right? And so I
Mm-hmm.
want to get my shoulders bigger, right? And the only way to really do that is to do shoulders more, right?
Yeah, you gotta whoop them
And
motherfuckers.
so because shoulders, specifically my side delts, is what I'm kind of focusing on. Um, you have to. They're so small that
Mm-hmm.
you can do them one day and then they'll recover, and you can do them the next day, and you can probably do them 2 or 3 or 4 times a week in order to get them to
Mm-hmm.
grow. Like, and so when you talk about making adaptations, it's like, or even growing specific parts of someone's body. Sometimes it's not their overall program. If you look at it, it goes in phases. So it's like, okay, right now I'm gonna just do a general muscle gain phase. Next, I'm gonna do a strength phase, and then I'm gonna go into a specificity phase where you focus on one muscle, and then that's what you prioritize, and then the rest of your training kind of falls down into the maintenance category, right? And so a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people, that's what a lot of high level bodybuilders nowadays do, at least, is
Yeah.
they go through those types of phases, and that's probably like what most, if you're looking at high level bodybuilders, even in the past, probably did.
Well, I think it's a little different because of where the industry is now in comparison to where it was, right? So like a lot of the dudes back in the day had jobs and shit, and they were not spending, and there weren't so many gyms and things like that, right? So it wasn't like they were spending as much time on like each individual like body part. Like it wouldn't be like I'm just gonna do shoulders one day and then chest one day, back another day, legs, and then like calves and extremities,
Well,
like
that's
just
not how you
little shit like.
grow. Like that's a waste of time. So yeah, they're not going to do that.
Well, what I'm,
We don't
but
do
what
that
I'm saying
now.
is like, no, some of them fucking do.
Who
A
who
hundred
d- who
percent.
does
They'll focus.
one muscle group once a week? Like
Bro, I
that's the
was
way you
just
just
listening.
explained it.
Yeah, I was just like one day each week, bro. Like, I'm telling you, I've been listening to fucking Jay Cutler talking about it. I've been listening to fucking Dorian talking about how he would train. Like, I could only do legs once a week type
Okay,
shit,
well we can't talk about
Like,
those guys when we're talking about you and me, because those guys are touching weights that we never will because we're not on androgens. Which then,
but
because
what
they
I'm
are literally pushing their body to such a point that they have no choice but to wait another
I
week.
don't, I don't fucking take my standards from less than the best. Like,
But that's
I don't
not the
care if
best
you
because you're not on
aren't the best.
androgens. You're not on steroids. You can't look at those guys and say I can achieve that. You got to look at someone who's natural and be like
Dude, fuck
that's
yeah,
what's
like, and
achievable without like
a lot of
steroids.
them were a lot of them were natural up until like 220 pounds, bro. Ronnie Coleman was natural for like ever, and he's like the biggest, right? Of course, his career took a leap once he actually got on like anabolics and stuff. But if you look at it, it's like he didn't know anything about that at all.
Yeah, but you're not looking at them before they went on it. You're looking at them at their peaks, which at their peaks, most of them are probably on androgens.
No, bro, he was competing in the
Oh, I'm
Olympias
not
without
talking
it.
about him specifically. I'm saying most of them are probably on it.
Dude, there's a lot of them that weren't, that were natural for a long time.
And
Robbie Robinson's another
they're even them though. Those are the 1% of the 1% of people who will ever look like that, even when there's people next to them using steroids.
dude.
Those are
But
like, I
that's
understand where you're coming from in wanting to like strive
the
for
standard.
excellence, and I appreciate that. And I'm not saying don't do that. What I'm saying is that those people's level of training, not only because you are looking at their training at their peak. If you're looking at someone who's 1 or 2 years into working out, right? You can't say, go get on a Jay Cutler program because that's going to work for you, because that's the way you need to train, because that's not how they need to train. And if we start, if
That's not what
we
I'm
can't,
saying. But
yeah, I know, but we can't like
what?
talk too much about what their process is in terms of like, okay,
But
this is what has to happen. You got to do it this way. It's like that's the best
no,
because they're the best. That's a bad way of
there's not a
looking at
like.
it.
You have to do it one way. There's a bunch of ways that you can do it, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to like the intensity with which you like stress the muscle, right? And so to me, it's like it doesn't matter if someone's super developed in their musculature or not. It's not about the size of the weight even as much as it is the amount of stress and like resistance that you're putting onto the muscle group. right? And
Correct.
so for someone that's just getting into working out, for instance, and you do a leg day, they're like, "Oh my god, it's the worst fucking thing ever." Oftentimes, they're in that same shape in the beginning where they're like, "Oh goodness, I gotta take like the rest of the week or a couple extra days to recover." It, dude, I'm telling you, it's happened to like 3 out of the 6 people that have been on my program where they're like, "Dude, you fucking that leg workout is insanity," you know? And it's just because of the intensity. And it's not that they were using weights that are going to hurt them at all in terms of like insane poundages. So it's all relative. And that's why I say you can totally take that science and kind of like apply it if you know what you're doing and have that like mental fortitude to push yourself like that. Not many people do, especially not out of the gate. So I understand where you're coming from, but I'll never take like what I see as like a subpar standard. I believe that there's a lot of people that can like live a healthy life and a happy life, and none of them have to look anywhere near the people that you see on the Mr. Olympia stages, like a bodybuilder, or even, Instagram, in a magazine. You can have a great life and still be a overall healthy person, right? But you are not the definition of like excellence in that realm. And that's where I fundamentally disagree with like fuck tailoring that shit. Let's take from what we can and formulate this using that knowledge from the top of the heap.
I agree.
That's how I look at it.
I agree. I do not. Where I'm coming from is when we talk and put these guys on a pedestal that makes it seem like that's how you should train. Because I'll tell you, if you're not pushing the amount of shit that they are, let's talk about someone who's not a beginner who's going to get sore on their first leg day because they're just not adapted to working out, right? That's a completely different type of person. So let's say an intermediate lifter, right, who has shit under their belt, 5 years, right? 5 years in, they know hard leg days. Those people should also not train that hard. They don't need to. Not only could you still make really good fucking gains without having to kill yourself to the point of squatting, or sorry, kill yourself to the point of only being able to do legs once a week, because you're not going to grow. It's all about how many times your muscle gets to failure for normal human beings. I'm not talking about
Are you saying
1% of the 1%. Go ahead, sorry.
okay, so how would you go about doing that? I'm curious. What
About
what would
what?
your methodology
Go about what?
for doing uh if we're talking about like training someone's legs and having them reach failure like multiple times in this super safe way, are you going to suggest that they just like pre-exhaust their legs with like a super heavy set going in and then lighten up and keep going to failure throughout their workout, or what's your methodology stand
Well,
behind this rather than just a super high intensity?
one, it depends on their level of exercise, of like their level of like what level they are in the gym. Beginner, intermediate, or
Well, this is
advanced,
like
right?
5 years in
Okay. So
is what
an
you said, right?
intermediate, the way that you don't want to train to failure. You get within a certain range, and that's what I kind of mean by failure. Um, and so there's a system called reps in reserve, RIR, right?
Mm-hmm.
For beginners, the RIR should be a little bit further away from failure to protect from injury and shit like that. And as you get stronger, you can get closer to failure. So for a moderate,
Mm-hmm.
for an intermediate lifter, I would actually keep them somewhere within the 2 to 4 rep range in reserve, right? So let's say they're doing bench press and they're doing sets of 12, right? They should be able to get 2 to 4 more reps once they hit 12, right? Not only are you getting them close enough to failure, but you also have room for them to progress each week, right? So you're starting, let's say you're week 1 into the program and you start at 135 and you do sets of 12 with 4 reps left in the tank, right? Then you go to next week, then you can add 5 pounds onto the bar. Now let's say they still have 4 reps in the tank. All right, cool. Then we know we can go 5 more pounds. Boom. All right, 3 reps. That's perfect. And then as you go, at the end of that 8 weeks, you should be near or working past failure at the end of the 8 weeks, however long the program is, right? And then once you get to the point where you can no longer progress, you deload, so you take a light week and then you start that entire process over, but you start a little bit further than you did the first time. And not only does that constantly give you new adaptation every week, but that's literally progressive overload. And it's from week to week to week to week to week. You get closer and closer to failure. You don't have to be at failure every single time. It's you hitting a consistent point that's close enough that gets you there. You don't
So,
have to
I
be
guess,
fucking dying every single set.
yeah, but my question is like, do you think at an intermediate level that most people are already still stopping with about 2 to 4 in the tank?
I don't think so.
Just, you don't think so? You think most people are pushing all the way?
I think they're stopping early.
That's what I'm saying. So they're really stopping at like 6 reps in the tank is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think most people don't realize because they're not they don't, most people don't work out with someone who knows more, right? A lot of people don't work out with a trainer. I didn't for a
Yeah.
long fucking time, and I didn't know how much I could do, right? I've been lifting for like 11 or 12 years almost. And
Mm-hmm.
sorry, almost 10. Um and for most of that time, I didn't know shit. I went in, I fucking killed myself, I walked out, and I made subpar fucking gains for 8 years. 7. And then I started working at the gym, started talking to those guys, started actually learning how to do the shit, and then started applying everything that I was learning from what I was learning, not only from trainers, but from the shit that I was like watching and reading about, right? And
Yeah.
so I'm trying to remember, what was your question again? I had a way somewhere I was going with it.
I don't know. I went down the rabbit hole with you,
Oh,
unfortunately. I like
getting close to failure, right? Within the last 3 years, I have to say that I've had exponential amount of progress in the gym. And
yeah.
I knew how to get to failure, right? I knew how to get there, but I didn't know how to do it kind of right. Because there's a way to work up to being able to work at that failure range. As a beginner, you shouldn't really, because it's higher risk of injury,
I
and
agree with that.
you're
It's
just
just
not necessary.
necessary.
Yeah, you're not necessarily ready for that. Also, the
Yeah.
recovery time for a beginner is absolutely fucking ridiculous. You're gonna get crazy onset soreness. But
I'm
uh,
naive to that a little bit because I had to thug it out through that. But yeah,
yeah.
like I almost am like, I don't give a fuck about your soreness. But
Well, you were
yeah,
also somewhere else in that situation. If you're not getting in, like if you're not working with someone that's in a situation like yours, that doesn't work. If you're working with someone who has a choice whether they can go to the gym or not, uh, they probably shouldn't be pushed to that
yeah.
level. Um, anyways, what I'm saying is
I just see I see everyone is capable of doing what I did, to an extent. Like
everyone is if they're in that position.
I I disagree fundamentally with allowing people the excuse of, well, I just have crap genetics. Well, it's like, hey, do the best you fucking can and fuck a really hot chick. How about that? Right? maybe get some good genetics in your fucking gene pool going on, but this is what you got, bro. And
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you that it was actually by design this way. Like that's why, and you can nerd out on like the Fibonacci sequence and how all the aspects of somebody's like face and the distances and everything. It's all Fibonacci'd out. Which is like it's like, how would I explain it? Like the equation of life
Yeah.
that holds place for expansion, um, so on and so on and so on. But when it comes to the gym, I'm like, dude, I see everyone as like capable. I see everyone as like everyone wants to maximize their potential, and in order to do that, like they might not all have the same journey. Like some people's journey will take a little bit longer. I do agree with you that like you should um really develop the tendons and the ligaments and getting your connective tissue and everything like really strong and like tempered before you start getting closer and closer to failure, because in the beginning you don't really need it, right? Like
Yeah,
the
bro, you
true
can
point
make
of failure.
crazy fucking gains as a beginner with an absolute dog shit workout program.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I would 1000% recommend that people do work with somebody. um and like to me, I was like, all right, like I want to work with the best, right? Well, it's kind of like reading a book from someone who's like a billionaire, right?
Yeah.
It's like that's what YouTube is, and listening to these like incredible legends that have taken their body to limits that most people can only even like dream of, right?
Yeah.
Like and it's more like a nightmare. Like they can't even fucking fathom that shit. But you might as well get your coaching, you know, um, both in person, and if you can't get it in person from someone who's a stud, then you cherry pick and do it that way. Either way, you're going to get some incredible results over time if you're
Yeah.
consistent.
And I think a lot of the things too, the one of the best things, honestly, is just find someone. It doesn't even have to be a coach. Find somebody to push you who knows more, right? Because like I never worked out with anybody, and if I did, I was the one who knew the most until I met Quentin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then after that, it was that for a long time again. And I didn't push myself nearly as hard because I didn't know my limits. People who know more know your limits better than you do because they can see, like, this is also like one of the golden gems of kind of like recording yourself is
Mm-hmm.
when you look back, like, a good example would be when I hit 300 for three, right?
Mm-hmm.
It felt like absolute hell for 3 reps. But then when I look back at it, I'm like, it was moving very quickly, even on the third rep. And it's like
Yeah.
way you feel is not the same as how these reps are actually looking when they get hard. And so you may feel like your form is breaking down, but you're maybe only moving not even half an inch of your elbows out on like a bench press. You're going just tiny bit, but it feels like to you a lot of movement. And so you think your form is breaking down and you're doing it badly. Whereas if I were watching you or someone else who was just more experienced, we're watching, you're like, dude, that was a fucking solid bench. You had like 3 or 4 more, and you're like, I felt so fucking hard. You could have had it. And it's like, that's one of the best things about having. Maybe you don't even necessarily always need a training partner that knows more, but just getting to work out with somebody who knows more, it's a fucking game changer.
I think that's a combination of true experience and actually understanding anatomy. Like if you really are working, I would say, to kind of piggyback on that, someone that knows anatomy in true form, where they can actually look at you as you're doing it and discern like, is this kind of like structurally sound? And what I mean is like there are certain lifts um, where it's really easy for the positioning of the weight. For instance, like dumbbells, right? If you're having someone do like a dumbbell bench press,
Yeah.
it's easy if someone's, elbows kind of flare up or they drop the weight lower and it's like too high, that it is going to put like more stress onto their shoulder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the bottom of the lift. And so having someone that can actually like discern that in real time and be like, hold on, and like guide you, even if it's not like just I'm guiding you and helping you for like spotting during a point where you think you're gonna fail, on the top of like a tough ref, you know,
Yeah.
but kind of helping you guide the trajectory and learn like how to actually engage through the lift. Um, I think that's massively beneficial.
Yeah.
And I'm
Being able
all in
to
favor of what you're saying.
teach body mechanics. And I don't know if that's necessarily like you need to have a high level of understanding of anatomy, but you definitely need a lot of experience working with a range of people, um, at the very least. Um, and it's like sometimes it's like I'll watch someone squat, and sometimes it's hard to figure out what cue they need because there's so many different things that someone could be struggling with in terms of their squat. It could be like, all right, well, your hips are getting in the way, so you need to go wider with your feet, or um, your fucking chest needs to stay high, or which means sometimes there's imbalances in the muscle that doesn't allow them to do that. And so it's like figuring out those things is sometimes pretty fucking difficult.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and
it's
even
like a
even when
puzzle.
it's yourself too, it's like fuck, what is this? Is it where's this coming from? Because I have this consistent ache sometimes when I do heavy deadlifts, not in my back, but in like my low glute, like hamstring area, and haven't been able
Yeah.
to figure it out for years. And it's like I don't know
Huh.
what it is exactly. So it's like some things are just fucking hard to
Karma
figure out.
because you're a pain in the ass, Jack.
Yeah, probably.
But no, um, and I'm not saying like I'm a fucking doctor over here right now.
Yeah.
I'm just saying like, when I'm saying like master of anatomy, but a basic understanding of, like how your body moves and what muscles are involved in a lift, and that way you can understand what what might be trying to take over, especially as you fatigue more throughout
Yeah.
a lift. Like what other muscle is going to compensate oftentimes for people,
Yeah.
right? um
That's one of my things too
just look.
about like you and I have this debate a lot, so we don't need to go too far into it. But the
Yeah.
heaving, right? Heaving your reps. And
Oh, the heat.
so like that's one thing that I kind of get iffed on is like um and the only reason why I bring it up is cuz I was thinking about it today and I figured out a way to kind of like explain why I don't like it. Um other than the fact that sometimes you don't get the full range of motion. Uh you as not you specifically, but just in general.
Yeah,
Um
yeah.
so fuck. I had my train of thought and then I lost it. Um
Hey, sometimes it is full range of motion, but you're talking about heaving right
oh
now.
yeah, heaving. Okay. So the reason I don't like it is because if that is like, let's say for example, right, this is excluding the people who only do it when they're fatigued at like the end of their sets, right? This is excluding the people who
Mhm.
maybe heave for one or two, maybe three reps, right?
Yeah.
If you're heaving every single rep of your set, you're
Hmm.
not only just minimizing how much work the targeted muscle is getting, you're also involving other fucking muscles to lift the weight. And so what you could
Yeah.
actually probably when you could get a better contraction from dropping the weight and just focusing on the target muscle, you're also now creating you're doing something that's higher injury risk because you're lifting a weight that you're not necessarily entirely capable of lifting, but you're also just cheating yourself out of not only, dude, almost the only things that I ever get a good pump on from heaving is cheat curls, and that's just because I enjoy doing them and I know how to do them, right?
Yeah.
I get a good bicep pump from cheat curls, and I don't usually get a good
I
bicep pump from a lot of other things. But when you're not doing them right, it gets dangerous. And so like if you're for someone who doesn't do cheat curls, they do heaving barbell curls, you're endangering yourself and you're losing out on a pump. So if you're going to do cheat curls and you're going to heave your cheat curls or heave your curls, heave it on the way up and control it on the way down. That's the only way to do proper heaving uh fucking reps. Cuz if you're not controlling it on the way down, not only is there a lot of evidence that shows muscle works or grows better on the like eccentric, the stretched part of the muscle. But you
Mhm.
can just control more weight on the way down. Like, and that's very
Well,
evident when you're doing like this is a strategy in powerlifting to kind of like um, get your CNS prepared for like a really heavy lift. It's heavy negatives. So they'll put on a weight that they don't necessarily think that they can rep, and then they'll just drop it, and then they'll just do that, just over and over, just slowly control the weight down, and that helps you. That helps you get stronger, but you have to control it. If you're going like this, right, shit, and you're just
yeah.
heaving and you're just dropping the weight, you're missing out on some really fucking important parts of growing your fucking muscle using heaving as a
One
strategy.
1000%. Although you will absolutely find me heaving some weights like that. Because I tell you what though, like when you're also I'm not posting like every video of what I'm actually doing in the gym, right?
Yeah.
And those fucking when you're heaving on like a barbell bicep curl or something like that, I think even though you're not truly getting like that full range of motion as that like long stretch because you don't want to go all the way down if that weight is too much and you're so fatigued like you're going to be more prone to injury. Doesn't make sense, right? Risk versus reward. But when you're doing that, you can get a crazy pump just from that upper contraction, right? Just boom, 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 kind of at the top of the lift. And then if you take a lighter weight, you know, and you work that eccentric, like you're saying, where you're just coming
You don't
down,
need a
boom, boom,
lighter
boom,
weight
boom, boom.
though. You can
It's crazy.
not only are your muscles actually safer in the stretched position, um, but when you just work out here, I just told you that there's a ton of evidence that shows that the muscles grow better when they're in a stretched position. So
No,
so
I'm
you
saying
may get a
keep it
crazy
up,
pump here.
get it, and then you let it
Well,
down, and
yeah,
you're like
those are the
just
cheat
about
curls.
halfway when you fucking get that bitch up, bro. Goodness gracious, you can get a crazy pump off of that
But if
bitch.
you're doing it here, just bottom half, full stretch to
No,
90, that's what I'm saying. Is like if you do that, you're not only will you target your bicep better, but you'll actually grow it because it grows when it's in the lengthened position. There's a lot of evidence on that too. Lengthened partials, there's a lot of new good studies. There's like a couple good studies out now
it,
about lengthened partials growing muscle really well.
my only thing that I wrestle with in terms of like negatives is that um it's kind of unnatural, right? Like especially the heavier the weight is. And I would say similar to like if you were going to pick up like a couch or something, right? Or a piece of furniture that's like heavier, of course you're going to be like more explosive. With a lighter weight, like you're picking up a baby, like you're going to move it more slowly,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if you were to do that with the couch and you're doing it that slow, like I feel like you're more prone to injury because I feel like it's less natural than you just getting that motherfucker up quick. And so for me, like, of course, total bro science, right? Um, I feel like that's one of the things that I do wrestle with in terms of using a heavier weight for slow decline of the weight.
Well, are you dropping a couch? Do you put a couch down slowly?
No, but what I'm saying is like in most cases in the couch analogy, like maybe this is a flawed analogy, most people
Yeah.
are leaving their arms long, right? You're not keeping it up here and
Yeah.
just slowly like letting it down. But at the same time, some of the weights that people are using, especially if we're talking like a heavier weight for like a curl that you're cheating or something, like bro, it might be a smaller weight, but you're lifting more than that whole couch would weigh, right? And so for you to slowly bring it down like that, I feel like that is somewhat dangerous, bro. In comparison to just using
Well,
a lighter weight and
what
getting the pump, and then using a lighter weight and just slowly lowering
you're
the lighter
going
weight.
way slower. Like I think you're thinking of way slower than I'm actually saying.
Oh yeah, I'm talking like as slow as you can possibly like slow yourself down as
No,
you're
what I'm saying is
like
not that.
6 to like 7 seconds.
No, I'm saying like 3 to 4. Just don't drop the
Oh,
weight. Like control it. Don't fucking go up and then I'm saying control it down. It doesn't have to be a fucking super long like cuz those are good too, right? Tempos and shit, but it's like
I think most people though, once the weight gets out here and it's further from your body as you're stressed, you're gonna naturally like want to
and that's
give.
when you resist.
Yeah.
That's when you grow your muscle. That's when you contract your muscle even harder and you literally are stretching your muscle in a contracted position. And it not only is it going to take you a not Kemper, you and I will probably never have to worry about popping a bicep off the bone because we're not generating that amount of force to do it. We are not at that point, right? We don't have to worry about that. So when you are not only a natural bodybuilder because your tendons can actually keep up with your rate of progress, you don't have to worry about that popping of your muscles, right? You have to like a lot of injuries come from explosive activity, right? Every shoulder injury I've had from bench pressing is because I was trying a really heavy weight that I wasn't ready for and I was trying to explode with it.
And I would argue that we're using just like a regular like barbell because it puts your shoulder in an unnatural position, bro.
Well, what's a natural
Like I feel
position
like
way out here? Because that's not a natural position.
no, I'm
I'm
just saying
benching.
like a regular bench press because the bar is fixed compared to like if you had dumbbells, like naturally you're gonna want to like curve your wrist in a little bit.
Well,
And so
yeah, but
having your wrist bar as you come down, like it I just feel like it puts you in a semi unnatural position.
you're down
That's my
here
own
though.
take on it, bro.
That, yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
you
to
can't
me
end the
like
conversation with that's my own take on it because like that's like now you're saying we can't debate this. I
well,
agree with
like
you. I don't like the bench press. I'm not using it as like the superior example, right? I don't bench. I do not bench
I know that
press
you're saying
anymore.
explosive exercises
But I'm just saying, in
and
general, explosive exercises, you are more likely to be injured in an explosive exercise than a slow and controlled one,
I can see your point there.
regardless of the weight that you're doing.
Bro, this has been kind of a weird sciencey podcast tonight. I'm not gonna lie. Totally like broed out, but what the fuck, bro? We
Yeah.
kind of nerded out real quick. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I don't know if you guys are in the gym. If you're not, then maybe this is your sign that if you absolutely hated this podcast, get in the fucking gym, get in the game and start understanding some shit that we're debating right now.
Yeah, maybe learn it better than we know it. I don't know. Fuck.
Yeah, please do. Come teach me something.
Yeah.
But yeah, and honestly, maybe that's the best way we can end this episode. Is like, dude, I love the learning process of this. And I love that there are different methodologies and that not everybody's body is going to respond exactly the same. The science can say everything that it wants, and there's going to be like a pretty good like baseline understanding of, you're not reinventing the wheel when it comes to stimulating a muscle, but and like what's causing growth. But there's a whole lot of shit that you can do to get creative to do it. And I think that's awesome. And
Thanks.
so I'm hoping that and I'm excited about what is to come. Especially like, bro, my goal is to reach as many people as possible with this because exercise saves lives and it really saved my life. I know Zach can say the same. And you know, there's so many people that are suffering in silence, and the speech that I'm working on right now is all about how 2 hours a day can save your life. 2 hours a day can save your life. Bro, like, check out this statistic. Over 50,000 people killed themselves last year. That's more than, well, that's like 7 times as many people as died in Iraq and Afghanistan. And rest in peace to all the soldiers. We thank them. But just to put it in perspective, in 1 year, 7 times the amount of people that died in those wars. That's crazy, right? Here's another statistic, bro. Every 40 seconds in America, someone has a heart attack. And every 33 seconds, someone dies from like cardiac arrest or cardiovascular disease. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like a lot of that is preventable. Diabetes,
Cardiovascular
bro.
disease is the leading cause of death in first world countries.
Bro, yeah. And it's super evident that we're living unfulfilled lives when we're trashing our bodies that way. Because it doesn't
Facts.
happen in an active experience, bro.
Yeah.
When you're actively doing things, it is so rare that that would happen. But we're just not living right. And this can all be prevented, and it's something we need to get in front of, and we'll have a more productive society, and we can change the route that everything's going. And
Yeah.
we just need to be more capable. And I can go down a rabbit hole on that because I've been nerding out on some statistics, but they're fucking staggering, bro.
Dude, it's bad.
Like out of like I think it's like 37, 38 million people that have diabetes. Only 2 million of that is type 1.
Yeah. Dude,
That's crazy, bro. They
diabetes
got
is a
98
problem.
There are 98 million people that are pre-diabetic right now.
My mom was.
And like your muscle tissue helps absorb like 75 to 95% of the glucose in your system. It helps you
Yeah, and your brain
move
uses
from
20%. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Your brain runs or takes up
It runs
20%
on sugar.
of your total, yeah, which is glucose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it takes 20% of your body's overall usage of glucose. It's pretty bananas.
Yeah, I didn't know about like the demand level
Yeah. And
in
your
the
body
brain.
uses 100%, almost 100% of all protein that you eat. So,
And that's why I'm saying like we gotta get out in front of it because all that shit is largely preventable.
yeah.
And really here is more activity.
Dude, if
And
you want to
that's
know
why I
what's
say
crazy, just to
Mhm.
like jump onto like the root cause of why we're seeing this is because the fucking food pyramid scam way a
Yeah.
long time ago. Dude, I learned about this recently. So the food pyramid had like whole grains and bread and wheat and shit as the main thing you should be eating, right? You should be eating most of that.
Yeah.
And that was a fucking uh like agenda from the agricultural companies that were selling wheat.
They got bought out, man.
And what's
It's
crazy
fucked
is
up.
like if you look at when the food pyramid started getting pushed and when the country started spiking in diabetes and other like weight related issues, it was then. It was after that the fucking food pyramid started getting pushed.
And the craziest thing is like they knew that that
They
was gonna happen.
fucking knew it
They
because the people in those agricultural companies were like, "Hey, we shouldn't be doing this. We know that this is going to be a problem for people." And they're like, "Yeah, whatever."
yeah,
It's fucking crazy.
it is. It's funny. I saw a clip of Jordan Peterson talking about that, and I'm happy that he did because so many people will see that,
Yeah.
because he has such a large following. But it's like there's certain things that are, you know, somewhat common sense, right? And I feel like that's kind of one of them.
Well,
Like when
common
you
sense
really look
isn't
at the,
so common. Like, what if you don't know what causes diabetes, right? A lot of people don't
well, I'm just
know.
saying, if you looked at this from like a primitive standpoint, right? Like
Mhm.
before there really was like refined sugar and stuff,
Yeah.
you were finding it in like berries. If you were lucky, you found some honey or,
Yeah.
and just like fruits and vegetables and stuff. So if you just look at like what was around, you can make some sense out of things. And I think sometimes just going with like a common sense approach and adding activity into your life at bare minimum will still get you some pretty incredible results.
Oh, yeah.
Like, especially in comparison to living like shit, because you don't have to go all the way down the rabbit hole of understanding how your body works and processes this and that, but if you had a general idea and just kept it simple of like, what am I training my body to do by activity, right? What am I sending signals to my body about? Oh, I need to keep muscle, right? Muscle is a priority in my body. I need to be able to make sure that I'm able to handle the demand of activity. Like that's a very basic understanding. And if you just ran with that alone, and if it grows or if it grazes, you can eat it.
Yeah. There's a lot to it. We could keep going on and on and on, but
Yeah.
we should probably get this wrapped up.
That's it, you guys. I don't know what the fuck to say. Zach and I this is the shit that we think about all the time. So you guys are subject to it if you're listening to this.
Yeah, and if you don't
So
like it,
I hope
go fuck yourself.
right on. Until next week.
Peace.